Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm really excited about today's guest, Trevor Goodchild. He's a Facebook ad policy specialist. He's a Facebook alum, really technically savvy, and I love talking to individuals such as himself that understand the infrastructure and how to use it and leverage one's business. So, Trevor, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Christopher. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you've worked at Facebook and then Meta, and you're an ad policy specialist, and then Microsoft, Apple. Kind of talk, give the what it's like to work there, and then we'll get into all of the ideas and topics around this area.
Yeah, sure. So, I've been working in big tech for a long time. I first got started when I began working for Microsoft during the launch of the Xbox 360. And oh, that was insane. We were working till 3 a.m. in the morning trying to do tech support because Xbox Live was really one of the first ever streaming gaming platforms where you could game with other people online across the world. That didn't used to exist, back in the day with the Super Mario Brothers and the Mortal Kombat and the Street Fighter games that I grew up on, right? We didn't have that community online where we didn't have the internet, it was different. And now once I helped launch the Xbox 360 with Microsoft, I got to see firsthand what that was like. And it was insane. People were trying to call us and ask for technical support on can I put peanut butter in the Xbox? Is that covered by the warranty? I'm like, no. Where do you see peanut butter in an Xbox covered by a warranty? Or like store managers trying to call in for support when they were physically assaulted because there was only one Xbox left in the store and everyone's trying to die for it. And it was really interesting to be on the forefront of that. And then on the technical side on, understanding how can you stream a video game live globally, right? That was really interesting to be there. And then the first iPod Nano that was ever released, I was working with Apple offering support for the iPod Nano. And that was really interesting because no one had heard of it. This is before smartphones. Like no one even had heard of anything like an iPod. And then the biggest thing was the iPod Touch, the most advanced device you will ever get in a Palm Pilot. And I remember everyone was so excited because you could kind of like make these janky internet calls with the iPod Touch if you figured it out. And so then I moved on later on to working at Facebook. And it was really interesting because I didn't even apply for the position. And my resume was online somewhere in some kind of, database. And Facebook just called me up. I'm walking downtown in Austin and Facebook calls me on the phone. This is Facebook. We would like to consider you for a position in advertising. I'm like, no, it's not Facebook. They don't call people on the phone. It's just a joke. I didn't believe it was real until I walked into the skyscraper and Facebook's logo and letters were across the double glass doors. And I walked inside and I went to work at Facebook in ads, then later tech, and then later project management.
Yeah. And I love this idea because, we're run by these big platform, the gatekeepers, especially, the Apple, the App Store, Facebook, YouTube, Google, all of it. Social media. So, one thing is talking about is just ads. Why does Facebook ban so many businesses?
Well, really, it comes down to economies of scale. On the positive side, when you have economies of scale, it means that there is such a high demand for something that it's cheaper to get because major corporations and companies can buy it in scale and then sell it for cheaper, right? When there's a limited supply of something, like say a Tesla, right, the price goes a lot higher because there isn't as much available. Or looking at something like alternative food, like vegetarian alternatives for meat, right? There's not a lot of them out there when they first began. They were in such small supply that the suppliers charged a whole bunch of money for that. Where this connects to Facebook is because Facebook right now, as of this year, has over 3 billion daily active users, the economies of scale is huge. And the problem that has happened is that instead of hiring more people to support more people, because as Facebook has more users, more advertisers, more ads going live, there's less one-on-one attention. And so Facebook has treated this, their ability to handle economy of scale, instead of hiring more human beings, they've actually created more automations. And as a result of that, it's a less human approach. There is a lot lost in translation. Advertisers will get shut down. out of nowhere. And often they'll think it's a glitch or they'll think it's a bug. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they have violated policies, but because it's the automation shutting it down, there's not a human being to say, hey, John Smith or, Jennifer, this is why we shut you down. This is specifically the part of your funnel that triggered the bots. And this is how to get active again. I think it's a trust issue too. I think Facebook doesn't trust people because, they've been hacked. We've had the Russian hackers and the Cambridge Analytica and all this kind of crazy stuff that Facebook just automatically has a very distrustful state when it comes to Facebook users and advertisers. As a result, these automations are primed more to flag and shut you down than they are to approve.
And it's really basically because it's users getting rug pulled because you can be very proficient, but then all of a sudden your account is shut down, and it's kind of like, how are you going to build a business when they can shut you down at any moment, or they can change an algorithm, or how do entrepreneurs reconcile this?
Well, the first thing is obviously to stay up to date with recent policy changes and things that happen that change the way you advertise on Facebook. One of the biggest changes that happened to Facebook was during 2019, there is a lawsuit for real estate ads because the Housing Authority and other organizational entities were mad that Facebook was allowing advertisers to use zip code and income to target Facebook users for ads. Now, look, I'm all about going local, supporting businesses and things like that. But, on this side, I did side with Facebook, even as huge of a corporation as it is, because what was happening is essentially the result of the lawsuit was Zuckerberg settled out of court for about $4 million, I believe. And then as a result of that, he laid off hundreds of workers, if not thousands, and then replaced them with lower skilled workers that were outsourced to almost sweatshop-like conditions. And as a result, the kind of hands-on assistance that you used to get really plummeted. So the advice, which was halfway decent, now it's just garbage. You can't trust any of these people to really give you good guidance on that. But that was one of the things that changed as far as keeping up with policy changes, because what happened after 2019? We had the special ad category for real estate, political, employment ads, things like that, which meant that you have to follow even stricter rules. And if you're running an ad, didn't realize that had happened, didn't realize your real estate ad had to follow specific policies, you could be blindsided. So staying up to date is I think the first pro tip I can offer. The second is to always pre-screen your own ads for policy. I think the focus for most ad agencies is on making conversions, getting ROI. If we're spending $1, can we get at least $2 back? Hopefully more. But what they forget is that Facebook's an ecosystem. You can't apply old school advertising methods to it because it's a private website owned by one dude. As a result, he gets to make the rules. And if you're not aware of those as part of your, advertising strategy, and if you're only focusing on conversions or leads or those kind of metrics, and you're not taking into account the possibility of a policy striking you down, then you're just rolling the dice. So I would say creating ads with the intention of not just making conversions, but also to make sure that they're compliant is really important. Here's where advertisers really struggle. So you can read the policies online. The Transparency Center, which is the new site for Facebook ad policies. Used to, it was just regular Facebook ad policies. Now they call it the Transparency Center. What they'll do is they'll tell you a bunch of ad policies, but the reality is it's not how they're actually enforced. There's probably like 10,000 more policies out there that the bots are enforcing that people don't realize. That's where it's a little hard, because it's hard for machines to read human context and it's hard for humans to read machine context. This is essentially machine context. So, obviously I can help people with that because I've worked at Facebook in ads tech and project management. And so what I do is I help people by pre-screening their ads before they go live or auditing their funnel in case of a shutdown to identify specifically what part of their funnel is triggering those automations. But there's not very many people out there with that level of expertise. Most people are guessing.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing I wanted to ask you is, here with us live is an ad policy expert who worked at Facebook and Meta, and tell us what that was like, what your key takeaways are. It's really fascinating.
So I would have to say, working at Facebook and then later when it changed its name to Meta, probably some of the best jobs I've ever had, right? It's really nice. Now, the higher up you go, the better they treat you. If you're a little lower down, you're not really treated very well. Unfortunately, it's just how it's a hierarchical system. When I was working in tech, when I was working with the engineers that monitor and create the code for Facebook's website, including the automations that lay the band hammer down, I was treated a lot better than when I was working in ads. It was very nice. It was very nice. And then my most recent role last year in project management, I was working with the creator monetization program, helping influencers who had anywhere from 100,000 to millions of followers on Facebook. We helped them beta test out new products before they went live to the rest of the public. This is part of how Facebook tries to guard against complete, I guess, glitches and shutdowns, as they try to roll out a feature to a select smaller group of the population first, and then after that they rolled it out to the public. So I got to test out stuff like stars on reels, things like that, digital collectibles, connecting NFTs to profiles. It was a lot of fun. Now, working at Meta, when I first got started working in ads, I supported everyone from small SMBs to celebrities to Fortune 500 companies like Toyota. And I got to see inside their ads, and I got to help them optimize the ads and also help them if they got a shutdown. How do we navigate around this hurdle? But while working in the ads, it was a really toxic environment socially. It was hard to work there. I actually had to file a restraining order against one of my coworkers. It was insane. But at the same time, it was cool to be inside of Facebook and to see that firsthand from the new things that rolled out. I think I really enjoyed the tech position next when I was supporting Facebook servers and remote access tools. So basically, if an engineer was trying to run some code and it made the website crash, I was troubleshooting that. Or let's say Adidas ran, 50,000 ads in 30 seconds on a Black Friday or a Christmas or a New Year's promo. And then the website's like, oh, we can't handle this many ads. The servers are crashing. I'd be the one getting the phone call 3 a.m. in the morning on my Facebook iPhone. And then I'd have to call Menlo Park and be like, hey, guys, the servers are down. Facebook's lost like $10 million for the 30 seconds that ads globally have not been live. Can you fix this? And, of course, it's California, so it's even earlier. And they're having to sleepily write some code, get Facebook established online again. It was really interesting seeing Facebook from an engineering perspective. And then after that, the project management with the creator monetization program. It's a really interesting place to work. But the thing is that Mark's old slogan of move fast and break things, I think they've modified that because so many things are broken.
Yeah, it's quite interesting just because you like tech, and it's, when you're on the cutting edge of things, that's when things are not working and you have to figure things out and things are not smooth and mainstream. And for, businesses that really grow and thrive on these advertising platforms, it's really exciting.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting.
Yeah. So, quick question is, running Facebook ads, I know a lot of people, they do organic, they're interested in Facebook ads. So what are some common mistakes to avoid when running Facebook ads?
I would say one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is just making outrageous claims. Because, when I was working with Harv Eker, his social media marketing agency, author of The Good Millionaire, he had this problem a lot as well, because he taught people how to make money. But the problem is that if Facebook doesn't feel it sounds realistic, they're going to want to ban the ad. And so understanding how Facebook sees your ad before creating it is important. On one of my blogs, in my blog, Jetskishaman.com, I talk about how do the automations actually view your ads. Now, Facebook likes to present itself as a very progressive organization, hip, cool with urban youth and progressiveness and all that great stuff, and being pro-black and not being racist like other platforms could be, or previous presidents, or whatever. Inside Facebook, in the buildings, they have Black Lives Matter on the wall. Like, they seem really friendly for that. But unfortunately, the way the automations, the machines that get to make those decisions on if your ad is going to be live or if it's going to be shut down with the ban hammer, the way they are programmed, it's like Leave It to Beaver in 1950s, where you've got, what's Ward. I think his name is Ward, the father figure. He's in his leather chair. He's got like the poodle at his feet. He's got the newspaper. He's got the tobacco pipe. And he's looking at the newspaper. He's like, well, this ad this looks like a scam. If you look at it sounds silly, but it's so true. If you look at Facebook ads from the perspective of an old conservative man, like that's pretty much what you want to do. Because the thing is that if you like, I'll take Harv Eker, for instance. Like, I'm sure he has helped business owners make a lot of money on Facebook. I'm sure some of them have gotten to 6 figures or higher, but it doesn't matter if that's true. People get really hung up on, well, I know this is true. I have the figures to back it up. It's not a research paper. You're not getting evaluated in a postgraduate work here. This is a machine. The machine is going to be saying, okay, you're promising people a 6-figure income within a month. That doesn't sound realistic at all, right? So you have to kind of look at it through the eyes of Facebook's ultra conservative realism, in the sense that if you sound sensational, if you sound like you're promising too much, they're going to think it's a scam. Even if it's true, it doesn't matter if you actually have made this happen in reality. It's what's the perception, right? That's the important thing. People get caught up like, well, I know it's true. I know I've helped. Me and Jenny Craig and Richard Simmons have helped 500 people lose, 30 pounds in 3 days. Maybe it's true. Maybe you have done that, but it's not about what is real. It's about what the perception of that is from Facebook's point of view. And so understanding that, if you have a friend who is always doubting things or just a real skeptic, you tell them about something like, no, that didn't happen, right? We all have friends like that at times. If you had a friend like that, kind of, view Facebook through those lenses and realize that you have to be super conservative with how you make promises for the results that you're getting. If you make a giant promise with little effort and a giant result, that's going to probably get flagged as spam or scammy.
That's interesting because, I played around with it, and it was like, one is like, especially health and money, they're really like, they're very like, watch. And then, so what are some best practices if Facebook ad is rejected, and worse, if your Facebook ad account is disabled?
So the first step is just to stop. What I see, one of the most common mistakes ad agencies make is they'll get an ad rejected and they'll immediately resubmit it again. Oh, it must be Facebook's mistake. I'm perfect. I have made no mistake. I have violated no policies. I've worked with social media marketing teams of major celebrities like Tony Robbins, or Mari Smith. I've worked with her. And it's funny because it doesn't matter how big or how small someone is. Some of my clients spend over $8 million a month on Facebook ads. And the first thing they always say is, oh, I know I'm not violating the policies. Facebook just is a bug. It's something else. And then I look and I'm like, oh, no, you really screwed up. But the thing is they dig the hole deeper, because what they do, a lot of agencies, because they're under the gun, they've got clients, and their client, the business that they're running ads for, why are my ads live? What's going on? I'm not making money. Get it done. Right? We all know clients that are like that. The problem is that impatience leads to further pitfalls, because here's what happens. If you have a rejected Facebook ad, maybe it's the creative, maybe it's the copy, maybe it's the headline, maybe it's the landing page, maybe it's the privacy policy, right? Maybe you didn't include the GDPR. Maybe there's something very vital you left out. And they're not going to tell you this. But what happens is, when the ad gets rejected, don't immediately appeal it, because the problem with that is, if you don't know why you've been rejected, you have a very weak argument for getting reactivated. You're going to say, Facebook, reactivate me just because I've asked, versus another approach of saying, hey, I've looked at my ad. I potentially see maybe this is why I've been shut down. I've learned from this experience. I promise I won't break this rule again. That being considered, I've fixed what I've, done wrong. Please allow me to advertise again, right? That approach works better than, my dog died. My wife left me. My ads are rejected. It's Facebook's fault. Make it live right now. Like, that's the indignant reply. Doesn't get you much traction, because Facebook ad support, not only are they outsourced and very few of them have a good expertise in ads, But they also like bartenders. They get the bottom of the barrel with the people that type in all caps and just yell and all the time. And if they could do something for you, they're definitely not going to do it if you're mad at them. But like, here's also the huge risk. Here's another flag that happens. This is a relatively new flag, past few years. It popped out around the end of 2019. It's called circumventing systems. The circumventing system flag is one of the biggest banes of advertisers because it's this generic ass flag. Doesn't tell you what system you circumvented specifically or what you did to mess it up. But here's the problem. It's a domino effect. Look up the domino principle. One thing, the butterfly effect, right? It's the same thing. So you get an ad rejected, you immediately try to appeal it, or you just duplicate it, run a new ad that's exactly the same with the same flags in it. Well, now Facebook's automations are saying, oh, this ad agency already got shut down for this ad. Now they're trying to run it again. They're trying to sneak around our system. Now they're circumventing systems. So now you got two flags. You got the original flag that shut down your ad. And now because you keep submitting the same ad again, you have the circumventing systems flag. And then like one more strike, now your ad account's disabled or something. So being able to, I think a best practice is if you have an ad rejected, look at it through Facebook's lens of, 1950s rule of domesticity of, this conformism from back in the day. Is it realistic? Is it promising too much? Is it targeting people too personally? Right? Go through a checklist, look at your ad, look at the creative, look at the headline, look at everything and say, if I wanted to shut this down, how would I? Right? It's similar to what's called a postmortem in startups, right? The postmortem is you kind of do this kind of graveyard service for your business. If a competitor was trying to shut me down, how would they do that, right? What went wrong for the Challenger launch? Let's do a postmortem. Well, the O-rings burned out. They should have fixed them beforehand, but no one does that beforehand. If you do a postmortem as a premortem and you say, hey, if someone is trying to destroy me, how would they defeat me? How would they, win and steal my audience? What would they do to destroy my brand? If you did that in the sense, very few people do this. If you did that kind of in a Facebook context of a post-mortem after an ad is rejected, see, what are all the ways that Facebook has shut me down and why, right? No one does this. They just like, it's more of like, poor me, Facebook's the devil. Why can't I get my ads live again? But when you look at it more strategically and analytically, you can have more of a chance of discovering what that reason was. Or you could hire me, obviously, and I can do it because I work with the engineers that created these automations. But if you don't know me or haven't heard of me, then doing that in the sense of if you pretending that you wanted to shut down your ad, how would you shut it down? I think that's a good practice to do.
So do you recommend, I'm always in this camp of just kind of diversification, risk diversification, especially after 2020, and basically not putting all your eggs into one bat. Like basically, I see all these influencers that got like millions on one platform, and then but kind of like diversification into different channels and different ad accounts, and kind of limiting like 10% spend towards ads. The rest kind of organic. Talk about that kind of so that you're not putting all your eggs into one basket.
I mean, that's a great idea. I would say diversify your traffic sources as well. Don't rely just on Facebook. Do Google ads as well. Do SEO as well. I would definitely do that. Do lead gen ads as well. Because here's also a really cool thing. If you have your audience's email addresses, it doesn't matter which ad account you're using. You can use a friend's ad account. But if you have a list of emails, I think over 1,000, I think that's the first level. It's not 100. I think it's 1,000. You can upload that in a spreadsheet to Facebook as a custom audience and then just target exactly those people without risking Facebook taking that away. I'm a huge fan of email marketing. I'm also a sci-fi author. My first book, 0 Point Horizon, book one of the Jack Ransom Chronicles, got to number 3 spot last year on Amazon for cyberpunk and sci-fi, right? I run Facebook ads for that, but I also collect emails so that I own my own platform. I have a Facebook private group, but I also have an email newsletter. And if Facebook, for whatever reason, fingers crossed, ever tries to shut down my sci-fi business from my sci-fi books, my sci-fi podcasts, and all the stuff I'm doing there, they can't take my audience because I have them on email, right? Email will always be there. Now, I don't rely just on email. I like to rely on a diversification of sources with different types of ads, whether it's YouTube, SEO, and Facebook, and email marketing, right? So having all of those different sources helps you. But as far as Facebook ad policy goes, my general philosophy, and this is how I run my business managers, and I don't know how many business managers I have. I have a lot. What I do is I like to separate out the product per ad account, right? I won't run multiple products on the same ad account. Now, this is different if you're doing dynamic product ads and you have like an eBay shop or a Shopify thing. If you have like 100 types of products, having 100 ad accounts is not gonna is gonna be more worry than it's worth. And in that case, I would separate it by brand. Like, say you're doing e-com and you're selling, what I used to sell, which is cooking supplies when I was doing an e-com business, and you're selling baby products, right? Very popular e-com product. I would separate those product types by different ad accounts. That's what I would do. Is I would separate different types of products or services by ad account and not put them all in one business. Or also you can silo business managers from each other so that you don't have any common people in between them. And then if one goes down, the rest don't. I've done this with a Swedish research marketing firm. They advertised political ads on people's opinions on politics, but they also were doing consumer product surveys like Coke or Pepsi, right? Things like that. And when they found me, everything they had was shut down because they were running everything on the same business manager, same ad account, the political ads and the consumer survey product ads. And as a result, it all got shut down. What I taught them to do was to silo the political ads in their own business manager, and then the consumer survey, Coke or Pepsi type survey ads in another business manager, so that if the political ones did risk their integrity of their ad account getting shut down, it wouldn't stop the other ads for Coke or Pepsi type surveys from running, so they could perpetually keep them running. So having not all your eggs in one basket, having multiple business managers and multiple ad accounts with different people on them is definitely a safer option than having them all in one place.
Yeah. Then talk about actually with now AI and generative AI and deep fakes. How is or kind of what are your thoughts with social media marketing and how that's going to intersect with AI?
Oh man, well, I mean, AI is huge, just like the new Silicon Valley gold rush. But I think that what we're also going to see is a demand for a new sector of the market to open up where people want to pay to make sure it is a human voice, not an AI one. I think that's going to happen. Different water fountains for AI versus humans. There's going to be some of that. But also, I think when it comes down to ad fatigue, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of, I'm curious how Facebook / Meta is going to deal with this, but there's probably going to be a lot of people that integrate, apps like ChatGPT with their APIs with Facebook to probably do massive blasts of like thousands of ads all at the same time, AI created. I don't even know what Facebook's going to do because that's going to really overload their servers. You just have to see what's going to happen with that. But I think when it comes to, if you're a smart marketer, right, if you're someone who is trying to stay ahead of the curve, understand that ad fatigue is huge. People are so tired, especially millennials, but Gen Zers even more so, are so tired of all the pain points being kicked, of being made to feel like shit, with an ad. Are you stupid, dumb, and fat? Click learn more and we'll solve your problems. Like, I don't want to be called that in an ad. Like, damn it, can you tone it down? And so I think what we're seeing now is the rise of influencer marketing. Kim Kardashian is one of the folks in social media that really kind of trailblazed the way for influencer marketing. Why do people like influencer marketing? It's because they know who the person is. It's more humanized. It's not some faceless corporation speaking to them. It's one person who has specific values that they either share or they don't. And based on that, they want to make a decision on buying. So with ad fatigue being so high right now, I don't think AI is going to help that. I think, in fact, it's going to make the voice of your ads more generic. If you've ever experimented with ChatGPT, I do prompt engineering as well. I'm a prompt engineer for ChatGPT. If you do that, a lot of times, if you're not doing further iterations of your prompt afterwards, it's going to sound like a damn children's cookbook instruction manual, right? There's not a lot of tone variation. You can try to say, write as if you are, Eugene Schwartz or some famous copywriter like Robert Bly. You can do stuff like that, but it only goes so far. What is your brand voice? How do you connect with your clientele? You know, Russell Brunson and the value ladder and the attractive character, he talks about, you know, being able to represent a character with the brand that you have. Look at, Geico and the gecko that they have. Look at Flo from Progressive. Like, these are very recognizable figures in advertising. People like that stuff, right? They're attached to it because it's more human. So with that already happening before this AI gold rush is started, I don't think AI is going to help there unless it gets more advanced. Maybe ChatGPT 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 will be so flawless you'll never know a machine wrote it. But right now, where we're at, you still need to humanize your voice. You still need to create that relationship, because the future of marketing is customization of how uniquely is your message tailored to each person. Like, chatbots do a great job of that, you know, being able to have your own brand voice customized via specific prompts that people are entering versus one message for everyone, right? So I don't know. It depends on how much AI can iterate its voice and its tone to match your target audience. I don't know. It's so new right now. I don't know. And also, it's difficult if you use something like Ad Espresso and you integrate that with your API and Facebook ads. Facebook doesn't like third-party integrations like they say they do. They make all these flowery articles about how they support that. They don't really. They want their own version of each technology that you're integrating with Facebook to be their own. So even if you are integrating other stuff with Facebook through AI, you're still running the risk of a shutdown because Facebook simply doesn't like any other company. Their goal is to keep you on Facebook, and the more you get off of it or integrate with someone else, the less they're going to be friendly towards you, you know?
Yeah. I'm just waiting for this day that the headline is some rogue country like Russia or like North Korea or something, weaponizes AI and just basically targets the social media the big platforms, and basically overwhelms them, and then basically the government's like, oh, we have to regulate AI, we have to shut it down, all this can be really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see no Skynet, Rise of the Machines happen. I mean, I never understood this. So we've got iRobot, Terminator, Total Recall, The Matrix. Have not these films warned us about trying to make a superior predator and survival of the fittest? Like, come on, guys. If something is smarter than us and can self-replicate, what are we trying to do here?
Yeah. How can people contact you, follow you? I really enjoyed this conversation, and just behind the scenes, and just kind of all the different ways of how you can use ads and leveraging this new technology.
Yeah, well, if you'd like my help to audit your funnels to make sure there's no hidden landmines in there that will get you completely shut down, or help you relaunch after a ban, you can contact me at trevor@trevorwgoodchild.com. That's my email address. You can also just simply Google Trevor W. Goodchild. I'm pretty easy to find online. Also, my blog, where you'll find a bunch of free articles on how to navigate Facebook ad policies, is Jetskishaman.com. Just like you have a jet ski, you're on the lake in your jet ski, and you meet a shaman, a witch doctor. There's a funny story behind that, but Jetskishaman.com. A bunch of free resources on there. I've got guides on how to navigate personal attributes, policies, and other types that are just free to use. But you can also contact me to help prevent shutdowns, because if you insure your car in case of an accident, why not insure your moneymaker, which is your ad account? And I help with that.
Yeah, for all the audience out there listening, Trevor for coming on, very knowledgeable, and all of his resources will be in the links and show notes. Be sure to check that out. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Christopher. It was